Home-based business Chamber of Commerce is proud to support the Successful Thinking Show. Bring your business out of the closet, literally.
We're talking about my girl, Nicole Gates. Welcome to the first show. I just want to say the entrepreneurial, or is it the inaugural show?
Yes. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Wow. You know something? I just really have 3 questions. I purposely said I'm going to keep this short and sweet.
I love it.
And Successful Thinking is a session that I do with Christy Taylor Consulting, where I brainstorm with clients, helping them, particularly in the media area. So I'm your on-air media coach and consultant. By the end of the show, we're going to have an opportunity to turn the tables, and you can ask me anything about media. But I know that the SheEO Unlimited, that is your brainchild, and this is your area of expertise. So first things first, what sparked your desire to go into business?
Well, Christy, you know what? I have a personal story that I always share my personal story. I always talk about how when I moved to Memphis many moons ago, it seems like, but it's been about 15 years ago, I guess. 15 years ago, I moved to Memphis. You know, at the time I was married. I had just had twins. Life was good. And then pow, 8 months later, I ended up divorced. Going through a divorce, I should say, 8 months later, and really having to go at it myself. I was working, I was teaching at the time, and I think the epiphany happened around New Year's, I think it was. I remember it being around tax time, so it was like the end of the year, and I was looking at either my check stub or my W-2 something, and I remember seeing $29,000 a year, and I was like, oh my God, it's a miracle that I'm even making it. And I always like to, just reference that time in my life to say entrepreneurship really saved my life. It eliminated me from having to live paycheck to paycheck. It created some opportunities for me to start making money on my own. And to me, that was so empowering that I wanted to give that back to other women. I wanted other women to have that experience, because there's so many of us that hate our 9 to 5. And at that time, I love teaching. I hated the administration, but don't tell anybody that. I love my students, but I was just frustrated at the job. It wasn't the same. And when I always feel like when you're on a job and you're not satisfied with that job, you really shouldn't be there, because you can't be your best self on that job. So ironically, I ran into you. I met you around this same time. I love sharing this story. I met you around that same time, and I remember stepping in by accident, just being nosy. Into your workshop you did down at Church Health Center, and Living Life workshop. Amazing.
Thank you.
It really changed my whole entire life. Things took flight after that. I got some clarity, and it was like, that was the time,
The shift.
Like, for such a time as this, it was the shift that I needed, because otherwise I would have still been in this dead end job that when you hate to get up to go to work, that's the time to leave. So I wasn't really working my passion. My passion has always been women. And I've always surrounded myself with, I promise you, I don't know how I get these opportunities to be around such dope women like yourself, but I'm here in a new territory. I had no friends here, no families here, just had me and my girls. And I was able to create that sense of family and that circle that I needed, I guess, as an entrepreneur at that time. And I did it really by networking, just getting out and, like I said, being nosy. If I had never stepped into that workshop,
that's why we would have never met.
Yeah, that game would have changed. But I remember purchasing your affirmation CD, and I bought one for myself. I bought one for my mom, and I'm headed to Tunica, going to do some shopping with me and the girls after I come to the workshop, which was absolutely amazing. And I remember one track that played, and I think it was number 38, if I remember.
I had a lot of tracks.
Yes. And it kept playing over and over. It just kept.
If not now, when?
And that's a question that we have to ask ourselves as entrepreneurs, as womenpreneurs in particular. we have to understand that we are women of possibilities, purpose, and power. Oh, when I say that, possibilities, purpose, and power, we need to be working our passion on purpose, then it makes sense. Then it's not like going to a job. Then we're okay with doing the work that we do, right? And then the sky is the sky is the floor. I think my friend Bettina said that the other day. The sky is the floor. And when she said that, I was like, the sky is the floor. Not the sky is the limit. The sky is the floor. You can go further, right? And it's up to us. It's up to us. But entrepreneurship actually created an avenue for me to not have to rob Peter to pay Paul, to be real, and that's a great feeling when you can get out of that rut. Because I'm telling you, like literally, and I'm being very transparent, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I remember going to pay for my car, pay my car note, and I would quickly run to the bank across the street and pull that money back out just so I could pay MLGW. That's how broke I was at that time, and I remember how it made me feel as a mother, as an employee. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm making no money. Something has got to change. And I think when you get to that point where you're just frustrated and you don't know any other way, the only way is up, right? So God just planted some things in my way along that path, along that journey that helped me propel to that next level. And then
I take it, Nicole, that the SheEO Unlimited isn't your first venture. So what became your business for that transition?
So when I was transitioning, I fell back on a skill I already had. I did event planning back home. I absolutely love event planning. I can do it in my sleep, like literally. So I actually fell back into that after teaching. I decided to quit. And I have the funniest story. I remember my old boss coming into my classroom, and she looked around because my classroom was always beautifully decorated. I took a lot of pride in decorating my classroom. And she came in, and it was all these bare walls. And she said, Nicole, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, I was going to tell you. I'm quitting Friday. Friday's my last day. And she was like, well, Friday is Good Friday. I said, well, then tomorrow's my last day. I gave them no notice. I was out of there. So, I had already planned several events at that time in Memphis, some of my first events, and had great success. And then I just decided, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. So entrepreneurship was just absolutely amazing. From there, all of my events always surrounded were events for women in particular, opportunities for women to come together. I always like to say, I think I'm the connector. Love connecting people. Love to connect people. I always listen to people's conversations, and I'm like, oh, you need to meet such and such, and so that kind of became a trend. So moving forward, upon my retirement from Shelby County, I decided, I was like, listen, I'm going to do me. I was traveling quite a bit. I was absolutely loving my travel life, and the pandemic hit. And so here I had another little shift. And you know what, honestly, I know a lot of people probably spazzed out because the travel industry tanked completely with the pandemic, right? I didn't fret. I was just like, well, okay. So I love working with women. What can I do right now? So I started talking to some other friends that were going through a transition because of the pandemic. And what ended up happening was the dopest thing. It was like we all came together. It's like, how can we take your skill set in HR, your skill set in graphic design, your skill set in social media content? How can we pull all of this together? Because we're all individual businesses, but how can we collaborate? And so the SheEO Unlimited was born. Now, we already had, and because we were a very intricate part of this, the SheEO Unlimited, the SheEO Mindset, correction.
The SheEO
Mindset. We had the TV show, the podcast, and had great success with that. Because, and I just want to kind of share why I call it that, because a lot of people ask me this all the time. So first of all, SheEO is our way of embracing female executives, female business owners, women that are calling the shots. We heard CEO forever and ever and ever and ever. Men have already had that platform. So this is my term of endearment for female executives and female business owners, right? But I knew to be a SheEO, it was going to take a shift of the mind. It's a mindset thing. You have to want to get it. You have to be passionate about it. You have to understand that success is your birthright. It was already given to you. You got to step into it. So it takes a mindset. You got to, be willing to cut some folks off. Everybody cannot sit in your front row. Everybody is not meant to be on this business journey with you. And you have to be okay with letting them go, And so we set out to really just kind of share some of those things. And there's things that we need as entrepreneurs, to kind of keep us level. And I always say, they say work life. I say work life entrepreneurship balance, right? We need all three, because your life may be, I have girls, and I have girls at various stages. I have one is graduated college. I have one in college. I have twins in high school. So I have kids at all ages. And then on top of that, I have my bonus daughter, who is my niece, and she's here with me. So I have at every stage of the game. So there's something constantly going on. We need to have balance. So the SheEO mindset, the podcast and TV show, was to kind of incorporate all of these things. We're giving tips about business, letting women know, hey, it's okay. You got to cut that person off. We don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, the cat, the dog, the fish, whatever. Cut them off. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're cutting them off forever. You're just cutting them off for a time frame, that so you can be productive.
Yes.
And sometimes people need to hear that, because, too often we're suffering in silence as business owners. And we think we're the only one having a certain problem, and that's not true. And so we talked about topics that were probably topics people talk about behind doors. We just brought it to the forefront on the podcast and the TV show. And then when the pandemic happened, of course, we couldn't get together and tape the TV show because we were in the heart of, the lockdown and all this stuff, stay at home orders. And so we decided, I was like, okay, so how can we all work virtually and help our women that want to start businesses, or women that are in business that want to scale their business and grow? How can we help them? How can we bring all of our talents together to help them? And so we created the SheEO Unlimited. And that was the birth of that baby. And boy, it's taking off. It's taking flight.
There you go.
I was like, I can hear you.
You can hear me. And I hear a little feedback, so pardon that. But one of the things I can say is I love the fact that this show is going to give entrepreneurs like yourself an opportunity to give the backstory to your why. Why are you in business? Absolutely. Why do you launch the businesses that you do? And the very fact that you've always been able to, as you say, be that point person, create events, has segued into also changing our minds,
right?
Setting that mind in a new way. So here we are, 2020. It's now changing from a mindset, just group thought, into an actual podcast TV show. And now it's LLC. So let's get to the structuring of this business and what you now do.
So now that we're in 2021 and things are kind of opening back up, I made a really concerted effort to make sure my business was in position to profit. So one thing that we noticed during the pandemic, even though we had a lot of businesses open up during that time, we also had a lot of entrepreneurs that were, forced to be at home and work from home. What I noticed, I think a common thing that I was noticing is our businesses were not positioned to profit. And by that, I'm saying that, the monies came down for small businesses. We couldn't take advantage of it because our business didn't have a business license. We didn't have EIN numbers. There was a variety of things that I kept seeing across the board when we were working with clients that they lacked. So now we offer business development so we can help them be in position to profit. One thing I did for myself, for my businesses, I wanted to make sure that I was certified because I thought that was important. We saw a big trend with people getting certified as minority-owned businesses. We were out here supporting minority-owned businesses. So I was like, it's important now to be certified. And certification just sets you apart. It really does. So I made sure that the SheEO Unlimited is now certified minority-owned, woman-owned and small business enterprise. Not just locally, but I also got it on a global level because my business, I can move anywhere. And that was important to me because I do plan to get back to traveling. And so I really wanted to make sure that wherever I go, that I was certified in those areas. So that became important to me. All the other things I already kind of had in place, but it was really, really important to me to get certified as a minority-owned business, a woman-owned business, and a small business enterprise. And I'm encouraging other women to do the same thing for their business because I really do think that makes the difference. It means that all of your ducks are in a row because you can't apply for certification if you are not positioned to profit, you know? So, and there's things still coming down the pipes. There's a lot of organizations that have jumped on board and decided, listen, I'm going to support minority-owned businesses. We have a grant. You can't apply for that grant. A lot of them without those certifications. So
Okay.
gotta have your
Now,
business order.
I know that the SheEO Unlimited programs that you have in place does deal with coaching and consulting. One of the things you're talking about is how you would help a business like myself, I'm new to this game,
Right.
actually go through that process of EINs, LLC, licensing and certification. Can you drop a few gems to give them an idea of what your day-to-day, so if they like, I need to work with Nicole Gates, they will understand what it's like to actually work with you?
Well, we would start with immediately just a consult. We'll sit back and really just discover what is it that you need, all right, for your business. We want to be able to do that. And then the second part of that, we would go through a checklist. So while we're doing this consultation, we're also, going through the checklist, making sure, do you have your EIN number? Do you have a DUNS number? Do you have, these things that we know as businesses that we might want to have in place if we're looking for funding, if we're looking to do business with government. There's a lot of things you need to have in place. So all of your ducks need to be in a row. So our job is really going to be to sit down, make sure that you have all of that. One of the other things that we saw a big trend with people wanting to be able to pay themselves, because one of the biggest struggles as an entrepreneur is not having what do I want to call it? I guess solid proof that you're in business, you're doing business, you are able to pay yourself. So if I wanted to go and do a big purchase, how would I do that without, they don't want you to bring your books and they don't want you to bring your QuickBooks records or whatever you jotting it down in. They don't want that. So actually being able to pay ourselves, we partner with ADP to actually get our clients on board to be able to pay themselves. Some people wanted to be able, like me, hire their family, or I hire my daughters to actually work. That's something I've always wanted. I believe in legacy building, right? I think that's so incredibly important. Christy, you talk about living life in full expression, right? And to me, the best way you can live life in full expression is if you have children, pass that legacy on. Yes. They may never want to run the business, you know what I mean? But at least ways, for me, my biggest thing became, I want my girls to understand if they go punch a clock and they clock in somewhere, it's because they want to, not because they have to, right? That became important to me because I remember missing so many of their activities, their childhood. My twins' childhood is a blur to me, totally, because I was always at work, and I worked very long days because I worked in public affairs. So I worked mornings, I worked evenings, I worked weekends. It was just nonstop and I missed a lot. And so it's important to me for my girls to understand that you don't have to miss a lot unless you choose to, So you choose, punch a clock or work for yourself. And I want your viewers to understand working for yourself is not easy work. It's not easy being an entrepreneur. You have to be disciplined. You have to, those days when you don't feel like crawling out that bed, you still got to do it. You got to still get up, play the part, because otherwise you don't work, you don't eat. Real simple. It's real simple.
I'm really grateful that you kind of gave that insight. So if they come to you, and one of the things I'm going to do right now is just give them a quick overview. Let's see. They can contact you
Yes.
as it's scrolling across at your website.
Absolutely.
And if you want a consultation just to see where you are, even just having a checklist of where you are in business and where you should be so that you can maximize opportunities, you definitely want to contact Nicole Gates, SheEO Unlimited. Now, one of the fun things I also want to do with the show is to turn the tables. I want to, as a media coach and consultant, and as we also know, I'm leaning heavy into that training component. And as you say, girl, I already knew that.
Yes, already.
I want to turn the tables and have you ask me a question. Oh, last question before we do though is you brought up two words that I want to kind of wrap your session up with is passion versus profit, or we can say passion plus profit. I'm going to give you the floor and just speak your mind, passion and profit.
And I'm going to try to make it brief. Again, I truly believe that you have to work your passion on purpose, and then that will bring about the profit. When you are passionate about what you do, it's not work. You love what you do. You'll stay up late. You'll do it for free almost. I don't want you to do it for free, but we almost we'll give away the kitchen table, the whole kitchen sink, but it makes it so much easier when you're working towards something that you absolutely positively believe in. Then the money will come because people will see your passion for it. You're excited about it. They get excited about it, and sometimes they need that type of excitement. Whatever service or product that you offer, it should be felt by that client or consumer that you are working with. I'm a true believer in that. The money will come.
So passion leading to your purpose will bring the profit.
Absolutely.
So they don't have to be at odds with each other. Actually, the passion should fuel the profit.
Absolutely.
I like your answer. Okay. Yes. All right. So let's turn the table.
Turn these tables around. Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay. So now I'm your on-air media coach and consultant, and welcome to my Successful Thinking session. How can I help you?
So, Christy, I would like to know, as a business owner, how can I benefit from media?
Ooh.
How can I get media for my business? Because that's hard when you're in business.
Very difficult.
I'm for profit. How do I get media? Or
can you get media? The answer definitely is yes. And the how I would based on what type of business you are. One of the things with the very fact that you're a service-based, SheEO Unlimited is a consulting, coaching, service-based business. You are helping womenpreneurs, female executives, helping people get in, their business straight. I would target you, number one, let me go like this. Media covers the gamut of broadcast media, digital media, and print media.
Correct.
And social media. So broadcast media, radio and television. Print media would be your magazines and newspapers. Your digital media could actually be blogs, newsletters, emails, as well as, e-zines, and including you could do even podcast, and other YouTube shows can be considered media, digital media specifically. Then the other one is social media. So those are the four things. So broadcast media, print media, digital media, and social media. For a service-based business like yourself, I would want to suggest that you target more so, honestly, print and digital media, even more than social media. Oftentimes you have a strong social media campaign that will lead to almost like a billboard. Oh yeah, digital media can also include billboards as well, such as like the blip billboards. I would suggest, like a company like yours, is you're already known on social media, but you could direct people to an article that you're written up in. That's the print. Nice. Securing editorials. You are very, very strong in language, in your background would definitely lend very well to having guest blogging opportunities. Submitting editorials would be really, really good for you. Targeting magazines, like if you're in Memphis, for example, the Business Journal. Also the different sections of other print magazines and newspapers that have that business section. Say, can I submit an editorial? And in many cases, that's free. So I go for the free first.
Nice. Okay.
You lend yourself as a guest columnist, and give an op-ed. Then you can possibly request a write-up done on your business and on you, particularly Women's Month, Black History Month, utilizing those opportunities because they're going to be looking to cover things anyway. So when you get your press releases done and you're doing things of that nature, make sure you put yourself out there in regards to print for both the newspaper and magazine, but also like this show, the Successful Thinking Show, is a great opportunity to broadcast, promote yourself, and also look for other podcasts, not just locally, but around the world that focus on womenpreneurs. And those who are, and just submit your information, say, hey, I would like to be a guest on your show. Some are premium podcasts, some are free exposure podcasts. If you know a friend who's a publicist, see if they can get you booked on podcast. So that, to me, because you have a lot to say, and I think that even utilizing Clubhouse would be a great social media platform. And even I'm going to go as far as saying TikTok and Instagram if you're using Reels, because then you can drop gems. So that would be my advice to you. I wouldn't advise radio and TV commercials unless you're doing an event.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good. So let me ask a question, because you mentioned a publicist. Would you suggest that business owners have a publicist?
I suggest that if you're trying to scale your business to a point where you're increasing your brand awareness, that you take on a publicist, particularly if it is a launch, or maybe you're rebranding your business, or some particular event that you're doing that needs high visibility. Some people, if you have the ability to put one on retainer, it would be advisable, because then it will increase your visibility across all platforms, all forms of media. But definitely if you're doing launches, if you're rebranding your business, or definitely if you have an event or a product launch of something that's really special, have them do that. And just know 6 to 8 weeks is a good enough time for them to do the work for you. Tell them you want a 6 to 8 week campaign. Oftentimes people want to do the week of. That's not an effective campaign. If you're going to do something, think 6 to 8 weeks out. 3 months would be preferable, because then you can do the slow grind. Then, a month or 2 months in, get heavier. And by that last 3 to 4 weeks, that's when you're hitting it hard. Right. So that would be my advice.
Great advice. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for being my very first guest.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
A special thank you to our title premier sponsor, the Home-Based Business Chamber of Commerce, based here in Memphis, Tennessee. Beverly Anderson, thank you so much for sponsoring today's episode. And Nicole Gates, thank you so much for being our first guest. And may all blessings come to you, the SheEO Unlimited, and all the amazing women that you are helping in the Mid-South and beyond.
Thank you.
Home-Based Business Chamber of Commerce is proud to support the Successful Thinking Show. Bring your business out of the closet, literally.